Welcome back. After the monumental victory of Man back in Arkham City, the city has fallen into disarray, and Jonkler's wife, the Quinn who Jonkles, has taken over his gang, and more pressingly, taken Man hostage. So, in spite of Man's wishes to be left alone, Rotting has to go in and save him from Quinn, who will surely kill him. But not before Man and Rotting can get a few kills of their own. So, what are the rules when it comes to the kills? Well, number 1, every enemy that can be killed must be killed. Number 2, don't take this too seriously, and if you enjoy it, there's an entire playlist of these videos, which I'll link down below for your viewing pleasure. Number 3, kills are counted on a play-by-play basis, and there's no steadfast rule for what counts as a kill. Veterans of the series will know that inverted takedowns and things where enemies are turned into human darts are always kills, but aside from that, it's fair game, and since this is a 2-man mission, kills from both Man and Rotting will count. Number 4, like the video. It pushes the video into the algorithm and helps out massively. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. It's free, easy, and you'll get a consistent stream of Arkham content, ranging from serious documentaries all the way to whatever the hell this is. So hit the subscribe button. We begin, as all good stories do, with a lone man taking on insurmountable odds and getting his head rammed through a TV screen, the small electrical current combining with a concussion to end his life, as we had our first kill to the count. 3 enemies hear the final breaths of their dead comrade and come to check on him, and unfortunately for them, they're met with Rotting, the physical embodiment of hatred, and they're also met with the classic Rot Stick, a weapon so powerful that this man's jugular can't stand its forceful nature, adding a second kill to our count. We find out that Man was sent into Quinn's hideout to try and rescue some bum-ass cops who tried to do the job themselves, but as we know, you can't send a cop to do a man's job. You also can't send Man. So as a last resort, you send his balding 25-year-old son. The next group of victims find themselves on the wrong end of the Rot Stick, with the first kill coming by way of throat decimation, and the second as Rotting drives it firmly into the back of this guy's neck. Our next encounter came when we found these poor saps standing around and wasting time, but thankfully we brought them some fleeting joy as we tried to take their lives. The first run went a bit south. I did some experimenting and eventually discovered that the invisible walls which usually stop enemies from falling off of ledges, which could lead to their deaths, is deactivated once they're knocked down. Okay, I might have already known this, but I fumbled the first time. So on the second run through, we managed to send all 4 enemies into the water below, where they're unfortunately drowned. Well, apart from the penultimate guy, who fell, got sucked up into the ceiling, and fell onto the ground. This whole fight was a complete glitch fest, but this was the worst case of it, and so I'm going to assume since this guy got sucked into an Agarthan portal and spat back out, he's dead. We don't get our next batch of kills for a silly amount of time. There's 4 possible kills between the last group and our next large group, but after plenty of experimentation and failure, we just weren't able to add any to the list. Disappointing, but the night's not over. It's still young, and so is our kill count. Rotting finds some of Quinn's thugs fawning over Man's belt, which just rubs him the wrong way, so he jumps in and interrupts their party by curb stomping this man with his knee, ending his life before leaving the rest alive. That's right, in Rotting's first solo outing, he's currently showing a ton of mercy, clearly unable to kill due to the lack of women around to impress. Between that and a distinct lack of Man to push his murderous rage, we can clearly see Rotting is letting the side down, so let's hope Man can up our numbers a bit. We cut to a conversation which takes place 2 days before Rotting's infiltration between Man and Jimmy G, and the pair discuss the possibility of giving Jimmy G his own game, but Man thinks this is a stupid idea and remembers he came to rescue some cops or something, so he heads into Quinn's fortress to try and find them. Man gets inside and begins Easter egg hunting, and discovers that thankfully Jonkler and Quinn's baby died. Thank God for that. And he also finds a cop being strung up on a crane hook. He drops in and begins grabbing some kills. Some kind soul in the comments pointed out that the multi-ground takedown should count as a kill, so thank you to whoever said that, because you've allowed Man to grab 3 kills here, before grabbing another here and a final kill when he slams this man's head into the wall, crushing his skull and ending his life. Man gets told by the cop to head out and grab some more kills, this cop clearly being one of the good ones, so Man heads out and turns this fool into a classic Man missile, flinging his corpse quite far after smashing into him at Mach 2, before he repeats the process here, and here. And finally, he kills the last guy by trapping him on a portable bat treadmill, wearing him down before he's promptly roundhouse kicked and left to have his head filled with his own blood. Man then goes out into the industrial district and finds himself in familiar territory, the back of the Jonklers' old stomping grounds, and it's here Man is able to claim some new kills. The first come when Man drags this guy over the ledge with a classic move. A ledge takedown claims our next kill before Man returns back to his old ways, utilising the man claw in a successful display of manliness. Man then claims his last batch of victims using the Man missile as he takes the air from these guys' body and throws their limp corpses aside like empty packets of chips. Man finds some poor, unsuspecting victims making small talk, and since he isn't a fan of small talk, he swoops in and kills this guy, and finally this guy, before interrogating the final man to ask him if he knows where he can find some more people to kill. The man does, so Man thanks him by breaking his jaw and throwing him on the floor. We find our next batch of victims training snipers on someone who Man deems good enough to keep alive, so he swoops in and gets a few ledge takedowns. This man goes down first before his friend next to him meets the same fate, before Man hones in on his final target who he promptly dispatches of. Man then figures he should go out and stop Quinn. After all, she does have some of that Jonkler dog in her, so she can't be left alive. But on his way into her house, he finds she's expecting him, leaving a banner out which actually reads, "You're next, Man," which is actually the first time in the series someone gets his name right. Once inside, Man finds himself faced with some security who he has to dispose of, but one man in particular piques his interest. See, the man wearing armour can be hit with a rec gun shot to be sent flying, so Man attempts to hone in on him, but in the meantime he kills these two guys with a batarang to the neck before, after plenty of missed shots, he finally gets to send the armoured thug flying far enough to kill him. Finally, he takes this guy out with a rapid special batarang to the throat, ending his pathetic life. Man then finds a room of armed thugs and drags one over the ledge to his death before he focuses in on this cop, his ultimate target. Another thug meets the wrong end of the manclaw. Sorry, make that 2 thugs meeting the wrong end of the manclaw. No, 3. Wait, what? The manclaw has hit a 4th thug? Oh my god. Okay, add 4 kills to the count. One final victim eludes us, but after some classic manipulation tactics, we move him right into our trap as we drag him into the storage boxes of instant death and suffering, finishing the room off. Quinn arrives to kill the cop, but we can't let this be. He's our kill after all, so we jump between the comically large bullet and the cop, sacrificing ourselves but ensuring the cop is ready for later killing. Quinn takes us hostage, and that means unfortunately we have to play as Rotting again. But thanks to Man's efforts, Rotting now looks better, as the kill count is looking much healthier than the last time we saw this bum. We need to rescue Man so he can continue to boost our kill count for us, so we head deeper into the steel mill. We find him pretty quickly, but can't save him yet because we need a key card from Quinn, who's in the room next door. Unfortunately for Man though, he's been trapped in Anfield, and for those of you who don't understand that reference, I'm referring to a place which starts with a lot of atmosphere, but as the night goes on it loses everything until everyone in there begins to die of boredom. Rotting realises he needs to save Man from this lack of atmosphere, and on his way to find Quinn he snaps various ligaments in the back of this guy's neck, killing him, before more of the Quinn goons appears and are promptly put down, and by that I mean 2 are spared and 1 catches a Rotterang with his teeth, dying. He finds Quinn, but she's surrounded by armed thugs who need to be dealt with. Rotting uses a Man classic and pulls this man over a ledge, leaving him to dangle forever. He then damn near decapitates 2 more thugs before hitting another with a ledge takedown, a fate shared by his comrade who gets done in the same way. We then finally get our hands on Quinn and beat her down with the rot stick before being rudely interrupted by a thug. After escaping the thug's gaze, Rotting does a loop of the arena and kills this guy by swinging him around and punching him directly in the throat, almost certainly killing him. The next kill comes when Rotting hangs this man by the throat, slams him into the floor and swiftly brushes his body off the ledge next to him, killing the guy like 3 times over. Quinn is swiftly dealt with, again being beaten by the rot stick, putting her in her place before pushing this unfortunate sap to his death before stealing Quinn's card and dangling her over this ledge. It literally took every ounce of willpower I had to not make a joke about how she's left for dead here, but I'll refrain. Rotting gets back to Man and finds himself being waited for by the ops. Rotting doesn't waste time though and immediately gets to work, but he's outnumbered until, for the last time in the series, a Titan thug appears to help us out. But in the biggest betrayal of all time, our friends from way back in the asylum fails us, leaving us to get some kills by ourselves. The first comes when Rotting uses all of his force to smack this man's face off his head with a shield. The second comes when Rotting knees this man in the forehead and probably split his skull open before he electrocutes this man's spinal column, frying his brainstem and then snaps his arm just for a bit of good measure. The next two kills come from the same Captain America style shield bash before Man is finally rescued, punching his way out of the Anfield ball and gaining his trusty belt back. Unfortunately for our dynamic dimwits, there are a ton of bombs placed around the steel mill in case of a situation like this, so Man has to stop them while Rotting hops on IG Reels for a bit. But all is well when Man smashes this guy's head into the floor at light speed, killing him, and well, that's the final kill. But not the end of our story. After heading back to the shrine room and finding Quinn surrounded by these goofy robots, Man takes out the clankers and avoids being blown up by Quinn's comically large pistol. He grapples up to her and finds out there's one more bomb. He manages to get himself and Quinn out of there, but when he gets out he finds that Rotting is nowhere to be found. Oh my god, he's finally dead! Yes! Hell yes! Come on, he's dead! Oh, hi Rotting. He lived. Cool. Man, as disappointed by this as me and you are, makes a swift exit, much to the dismay of Jimmy G, and that brings our night to an end. Well, there we go, the penultimate piece of serial killer content. How many kills did we get this time around though? Well, between Rotting and Man, the dynamic Drongos got a grand total of 59 kills. Which is impressive and surprising, because I wasn't expecting that many. Thank you for watching if you made it this far, and now for a PSA from our resident serial killer run president, Chonchef Kennedy. My fellow Americans, the serial killer run is nearly over, but while I've got your attention, I'd like to give a little update on the series going forward. We have one more, and then we're done. Can't keep this up. I do have to come clean. I tried to record a serial killer run on Arkham Shadow, but it just doesn't work as it does on the usual style here. But don't worry, we still have 2 more adventures to go. They'll be in the same video, but they will be the final bits of new content for this series. I say final bit of new content because, well, Man and the Serial Killer Run did actually get an official ending in a live stream, which I'm planning on taking the highlights of and using as the definitive full stop in this series. This will come with the official Serial Killer Run movie, which will have all of these videos edited together really seamlessly and nicely to just be watched as a full thing. So it's going to be quite hard to say goodbye to this series, but I think it's about ran its course. I think if we drag this on any longer, we'd all be sitting here next year wondering why I'm still making Man jokes. But yeah, thank you so much for all the support on this series. Say, there's one more part coming, which is kind of a 2-parter. Like, there's two missions in that video, so that's going to be really cool. That should be out the week after you're watching this, or maybe the week after that, maybe 2 weeks' time. But yeah, so stick around for that if you enjoy this style of content. And say, then after that, it's done. The Serial Killer Run will come to an end, which I'm a bit upset about. But again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.